We need to talk about this girl's death. The Nigerian girl who fell to her death from her apartment building in North Cyprus on Monday the 13th of June 2022. After the first video that I made of this story, a lot of people reached out to me to tell me what they knew, more like what they know about her situation. In the previous video, I was mostly just focusing on the fact that it may have been drug-induced, that she may have taken something that affected her so badly, causing her to do what she did. In as much as I've not really changed my mind regarding that explanation, or should I say that possibility, a lot of her close friends and people who knew her are of the opinion that it's spiritual. And after listening to a lot of people and hearing specific details of the moments that led up to her death, I guess it's safe to say her death may have been as a result of a spiritual attack. So let's get into it. First thing first, we have established the fact that Jennifer went to North Cyprus to work. Although some blogs are claiming it had to do with depression associated with her work, something around the notion of her not being able to, pay back the money to her boss or employer. The blogs are speculating and they're saying a lot of things. But these are not the things that the close friends are saying. Because I spoke to people who knew her directly, personally. They even have pictures with her. 3 weeks before the sad incident, it was said that Jennifer stopped staying at her apartment. I think this is the apartment up here, the 5th floor. It was said by her roommates that Jennifer was no longer going to work and she was no longer spending the night at her apartment. But they knew she was with her boyfriend. Now, I don't know where her boyfriend's apartment is, but from one of the person I was speaking to, it was suggested that her boyfriend's apartment was also in the same building, more like above hers, like the 6th floor. That was what I heard. But that might not be accurate. So she's spending time with her boyfriend for 3 whole weeks and not staying in her house was where the issue began, because the moment she came back to her apartment, she started acting weird. That was when she started banging doors, shouting, yelling, throwing things and cursing. And when the police came to arrest her, she told the police something. I always wanted to know what her conversation with the police was like. And according to the source, they said when the police took her to the station, because neighbors called the police that she was causing nuisance. She was asked why she was disturbing and she was talking under the influence of something. She was ranting and saying things that were not coherent. She told the police that she was not disturbing anyone, that it was her boyfriend who gave her something, and then she then said it was her boyfriend's friend, and then she then said it was someone else. It was almost like she was just calling different names and accusing different people of giving her something. And then they would ask her and she would say she's fine. So apparently the police may not have taken her words very seriously because they were not direct. It wasn't as if she was saying for a fact that she took something and someone gave her something and she was calling the person's name. She was just calling different names and repeating different things that were just contradicting, which is why maybe the police did not take her very seriously. Eventually, she was brought back to the building on Sunday, where she was being taken care of by her roommates and friends. Eventually, still that Sunday, it was said she had another episode of being loud, violent, aggressive, and just saying things that weren't coherent. Clearly, she was having an episode of an attack or some kind of mental breakdown. Eventually, she spoke to her mom, and it was said she was calm when speaking with her mom. She complained to her mom that her eyes were paining her, and she told her mom and her auntie that they are attacking her. This is where I think things really got very vocal for her. This is where her friends kind of figured this might be an attack, because a lot of her friends are assuming the family knows that it's something from the village. Because when she was speaking with her mom, she was telling her mom that they are attacking her, that she's seeing 2 people passing by, that they should not let them pass. She complained about her eyes. She was complaining about not seeing. It was just a mix of a lot of things that were just weird and unusual. It was said her mother prayed for her and, she ended the call. Still on that Sunday, it was said that she spoke to friends and told some of her friends to pray for her, that she's having an attack. Strangely still, she spoke to her auntie and it was said she told her aunt that someone has betrayed her. Although she did not call any names, but she gave the impression that someone close to her has betrayed her and that they should pray for her. It was also said that her boyfriend was confronted and asked, what they gave to her. After all, she had been in his place for 3 weeks, and the boyfriend had admitted that yes, she had been in his place for 3 weeks. Although the boyfriend was now sort of assuming or claiming that she started misbehaving from his apartment, and maybe that was why he sent her back to her own apartment. The boyfriend and the friends of the boyfriend all claim that they did not give her anything and that they don't do drugs and yada yada yada. I don't know who the boyfriend is, but I don't think they would admit giving her anything or doing anything to her. So let's not act as if they actually did give her something, they would say they did. The default answer would be, we did not do anything, it's not us. So I'm not even going to take their own statement seriously, but they might still be right that they didn't give her anything. It's very possible. After all, this again is being seen as a spiritual case. So it was very clear that somewhere along the line, Jennifer got herself and eventually spoke out that yes, that this looks like an attack, even though it might have been the first time her friends were saying this. But there is a chance, because I don't think any of the friends right there or roommates knew her to the house. Maybe this might be something that have been happening at home. It's unclear, because she had only been there for a year, so it's not as if this is something they had seen before. On the Monday she fell to her death, it was said it was just like every other normal Monday. Like I've said in the previous video, she had her bath and she wanted to join her friend to go out, and she had taken a bath and she was even trying to wear a wig. I think that was a wig we saw on the scene, and the friend was asking her that she doesn't need to wear a wig, that she needs fresh air to hit her head. You know, she needs hair to touch her head. And the friend was like, okay, I think the friend wanted to go and change in the room too, to get dressed and get prepared. That was when she went to the parlor, to the sitting room to relax and lay down on the couch. And according to the said friend, when she was in the room changing, that was when she heard neighbors screaming, only to come out and Jennifer was 6 stories on the ground. What is strange about her death is the fact that there was no blood stains, and it did not even look like her bones broke. People who saw her body pointed out the fact that, you know, nothing, her head did not smash open, no blood was coming out of her nose or anywhere, and frankly that is very unusual, especially for a 6-story building and falling on a concrete floor for that matter. I guess these are all the reasons why a lot of our friends are saying it's spiritual. And from the person I spoke to, I was told that the police had done some kind of drug test, and it was learned that there was no drug in her system. Although I'm not sure, but that was what the person told me. I still feel it's too soon, but who knows? It all just makes it very mysterious. So aside talking to the people who wanted to sell it to us that her death was mysterious, someone reached out to share his own thoughts as to what could have happened to Jennifer. And he did not believe it's spiritual. I have taken permission to share the screenshots so you can pause to read. Just to put it plainly, this particular person suspects that it might have been a certain kind of weed that she took. He is claiming that everyone in North Cyprus knows about the BZ weed. He even had his own personal experience with that particular weed. Pause to read. I mean, if you've read everything, I don't really need to say much. The person kind of explained that he suspects it's the BZ weed that may have caused her death. That is it's a particular drugs that is mixed with the regular weed that people smoke. And when mixed with it, it can make you do seriously crazy things. And I think a lot of people need to be careful with this thing. I guess this should be a time people should be aware that there is such a thing like this. Because I know in my previous video, a lot of people were like, no, weed does not make you do this kind of things. Weed is legal, yada, yada, yada. I wouldn't know. I don't smoke. But someone who has that knowledge has come to share with us that there is something that is usually mixed with what they smoke, and it gets them to do seriously weird things. The person even suggested or claimed that there have been many other people like Jennifer who had ended their life because of this particular substance. He said he had to avoid a balcony even 7 days after taking the drugs, saying whenever he's close to a balcony after smoking that BZ, he feels the urge to want to jump. Now, I don't really know much about weed and the BZ, so this is just all what this person said. And saying that Jennifer is someone who smokes or take this weed because, again, she has proudly said these things on her Instagram. This is not me shaming her or me judging her. This is just me explaining. I just feel with this extra detail regarding the drug consumption, what are the chances that this was not a spiritual incident, but rather a case of the BZ weed? After all, when she was at the police station, she was muttering a lot of gibberish. And part of those gibberish included suggestions that someone gave her something to take, even though she wasn't exact on who gave her and what they gave her. Apparently, the North Cyprus police are still investigating matters relating to her death, even though they have concluded or they have understood that it's self-harm, so it's not like they suspect foul play or someone did it to her. I guess maybe they're going to investigate if it's a drug intake kind of situation. And there is still a chance that it might be swept under the rug. So guys, let me know what you think, because you've heard the side of whether or not it's a spiritual issue, and you've heard the side of whether or not it's a drug related situation. Even though there are people who are saying she was depressed because of the work and because she couldn't meet up a certain amount of money, there were some bloggers even saying that her roommates were the ones who pushed her because of something. It's a little ridiculous because nothing so far has suggested any of those claims. There were white neighbors who were not Nigerians living in these buildings. They were the ones who saw her misbehaving. They were the ones who saw her in an episode. They were the ones who called the police. Even the moment before it was said she jumped, it was said the white woman recorded, and thanks to that white woman, the police did not even arrest her roommate because it was the white woman who told the police that they actually saw her jump. Again, the police claim that they're investigating. So we will just have to wait and see what comes up next. So far, this is all we have. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts.